Hi there, welcome to the Brown Lounge. I'm Holly Brown, and today, as you can see, it's Cheesecake Day at the Brown Lounge. And I am so fortunate to have with us today Rusty Federman of Rusty's famous cheesecakes. Hi, Rusty.
Hi, how are you, Holly?
I'm good.
Great.
I'm
glad
so
you said
excited.
famous, not infamous.
No. Well, I've heard you're infamous too,
Okay.
but we're not going to talk about that today on the Brown Lounge.
Okay.
Rusty has created a fabulous, I mean literally a stellar reputation in Seattle. Every time I turn around, I'm hearing about Rusty's Cheesecakes, so I had to have you on the show. And I want to hear about your story, and I want to hear about these wonderful cheesecakes and sort of what inspired you to get started making them, and how are you selling them, and what's happening with the business.
First of all, we're delighted to be here. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Always wonderful to be here on the Brown Lounge. Cheesecake is just a love and a passion of mine. I grew up in Seattle in the restaurant business. When you're in the restaurant business, of course, you probably know this. Your family's in it, you're in it.
Absolutely.
And I fell in love with cheesecake as a kid. And my mom taught me how to make it as an adult. And it's definitely a labor of love. It's a challenging dessert to make.
Yeah.
Basically, I've taken our family's signature recipe, which we call Esther's Classic, and developed that into a whole line of gourmet cheesecakes in a variety of sizes for almost any need, from our 9-inch cheesecakes like this, which is hefty. You could get a
Gorgeous,
workout
though.
and eat. It's our salted caramel, slightly salted caramel.
I can't wait to try that one.
9-inch that we sell that, to individuals, but also to better restaurants in the area. Our 6-inch family size, which is great as a at-home dessert for your family, or to take as a perfect for a hostess gift.
Yeah. And what's this one?
This is a new flavor. This is one of our sweet and savory cheesecakes called Sweet and Spicy, and it's fresh ginger, Chinese spice, and a little bit of cayenne pepper.
That one's got my name on it
over
right
a really
there.
thick graham crust.
Yeah, that looks really good.
This is one of our first chocolate gourmet creations, and I love chocolate. We're going to make some chocolate for you today.
In fact, you said this one was gluten-free, right?
It is, yeah. We actually developed a gluten-free crust, and that's the only piece in our classic cheesecake that has gluten in it. And it's a wonderful Valrhona cocoa-based crust, layer of ganache, and then Cafe Vita espresso and guittared chocolate. Just going to give you your buzz.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, Rusty has told us that he can't actually share his secret recipe from his mom with us on the Brown Lounge, but what he can share is a wonderful ganache recipe that we're going to make with you today. And you're going to show us how to actually bake it into the crust if we want to do that. But of course, ganache is just a staple, that you should always have. But along the way, he's actually going to share some tips and tricks for making a cheesecake, irrespective of what the recipe is. So I've already learned a few things from Rusty for my cheesecake recipes, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But let me ask you this: where can you get Rusty's cheesecakes?
So we are available in many fine, better restaurants here in the greater Seattle area. And we're also now starting to be available in some grocery stores like Matthews Thriftway at Lakemont, and soon to be in some other similar types of grocery stores throughout the Seattle area.
Great.
And then for those of you either that aren't near restaurants like Daniel's Broiler or Chandler's or St. Cloud's in Seattle, we have an online bakery on Zarly.com where you can get any of our cheesecakes either delivered to your home in Seattle or shipped anywhere in the U.S.
Perfect. So if you've got a summer celebration or any celebration and you just don't have time to cook a cheesecake or make your ganache, you can just buy Rusty's cheesecake and just pretend like it's your own.
Yeah, and we have all sizes: our 9-inch, our 6-inch, our 4-inch minis, our 2 1/4-inch, and then our new little guys, the mini minis.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to get started with the ganache. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the cheesecake tips that we really should know as bakers, for those of us who do like to bake and try these cheesecakes. So stick around. We're going to be right back with Rusty Federman of Rusty's Famous Cheesecakes. Okay, here we are. Step one, really, we're going to start this ganache. And I hear that you're a chocoholic. So is that why we're making ganache?
It is one of the 4 food groups, chocolate is,
Exactly.
and ganache is one of the staples in that stable.
I couldn't agree more. So before we get into the details of the ingredients and everything, tell me a little bit about ganache as just sort of a you know, as a topping, right? So what do you use ganache on?
It's
and
a
how do you use
beautiful, it's just a beautiful way to do chocolate, and it's very versatile. What's great about it is you can get it in its liquid form and use it in anything. So we'll layer it. You'll see on this cheesecake, we have a chocolate crust, and over the chocolate crust is a layer of ganache, and then the cheesecake. So when you take a bite into that, you've got all these different sensations going on, and that creamy ganache is really yummy. And then versatile again, so we use it as a stirring sauce, actually, for design and flavor, and so we make these fleur-de-lis out of the ganache.
And they're beautiful.
You can drip, you can drizzle, you can do anything. What's also great about ganache is that it's liquid. You can get it liquid by warming it up, but then it sets up really nicely and it'll stay firm.
Yeah, I love to put it on a plate if you're just trying to decorate a plate. The other thing you said is you can keep ganache in the refrigerator for what, like two to three weeks?
Yeah.
Which is fabulous.
Yeah, and pop it out, and you can heat it in a water bath, or you can heat it in the microwave if you choose to, and
it makes
really easy.
It makes it worth it to make it the once, because you can you know, use
strawberries
it over
dipped in ganache.
Okay, he's making me hungry. Okay, so tell us what the ingredients are and basically how we're going to prepare this.
Well, what's also great is it's this fancy word, but it's really simple.
Yeah.
And some of the best things really are. Yeah. So it's great chocolate. Start with either solid, or I use a chip. You know, a semi-sweet or a bittersweet chocolate, the best chocolate you can buy.
Okay.
Fresh, heavy cream. And so those two form the base of the ganache. And then a little enhancer with a little liqueur. So we do Kahlua.
Well, let's get started. We're going to move over to the stove, and Rusty's going to show us how to make sure that we've got the perfect ganache.
Awesome. So now we're going to put this beautiful ganache together over the stove. And I'll start by warming up my heavy cream, turning the stove on. And we're adding 12 ounces of heavy cream. And we're going to put that just under a boil. We're going to let that sit for a few minutes and stir it a little bit just as it gets warm. And then we're going to add our chocolate. We don't want to burn it, but we want to melt it nice and evenly. And so lots of stirring as you're doing this. And we added 20 ounces of chocolate to this recipe. So 12 ounces of heavy cream and 20 ounces of chocolate. And if you want to make a double, just scale it up. Chocolate is starting to melt, and we want to keep moving it in the pan to prevent it from scalding or burning.
That is starting to look so beautiful.
Turn this down a little bit and just let it simmer. And so once this chocolate fully melts, then I'm going to get a little bit heavy-handed with a whisk and just stir it a little bit faster, and that'll help eliminate all of the lumps. So you want to have a really, really smooth consistency. But you see it's getting that rich, brown, shiny consistency.
I cannot wait to try this on your cheesecake.
So we've got this this mixture now down to a really nice consistency. The chocolate is fully melted and integrated with the heavy cream. And now I'm going to add the last ingredient that we're using here, which is, for this recipe, Kahlua. And I'm adding 2 ounces of Kahlua in the mix. I'll give it a little preservative and a really nice flavor. And what's great for you at home is you can add any flavor you'd like. I would still recommend using a little bit, 2 ounces of a liqueur. Kahlua works great, or amaretto or something like that. But if you want to make a chocolate peanut butter ganache, add a little bit of peanut butter to it and let it cook in. If you want to make an orange chocolate, add a little bit of orange zest. Experiment a little bit with it, and you can make your own famous ganache.
Okay, so here we are. We're pretty much done. The ganache is done. I can't wait to taste this, so we need to move quickly so I can get to the eating part.
I'm hungry too.
But Rusty's going to show us a couple things that you can do with the ganache. So the first thing he's going to show us is how to marbleize a cheesecake that you're making and use the ganache inside of the cheesecake, right?
Yep.
And then he's going to show us a few decorating techniques, right?
Absolutely.
For the top. Okay.
Because the cheesecake has to be delicious, but it also has to be beautiful.
I agree. Presentation is everything.
So we have our ganache that we just made, and I put it in a squeeze bottle. It's very easy and versatile to use. Make sure that the tip is clean. And then I'm essentially going to take it and I'm going to layer just sort of lines, interlacing like that. And I've filled this particular cheesecake that I've got batter in. I'm making is called From Russia with Love, and it's this Valrhona chocolate crust, and then it's white chocolate with fresh cream and a little bit of Stoli vodka. Never saying yet, right?
So first of all, you have to know that I come from Russian heritage, so
Okay.
and I'm a Stoli lover.
Yeah.
So this has got my name totally written all over.
It's really good.
It's great.
Yeah.
So Rusty has about 8 or 10 different flavors that you can buy. So we won't go into all the details of the flavors, but you've got some really fun and interesting combinations.
You try to keep it interesting
Yeah.
and eclectic and delicious.
Yeah. Yes.
So I've layered this in here, and now I'm going to take just basically a skewer,
Yeah.
a wood skewer, and I'm going to swirl it around.
Mm.
And this is going to
Pretty.
make, and I've done it on half of a layer high of the cheesecake, so that'll give some color and flavor throughout the cheesecake, and you want to distribute it like this all the way around to the edges.
So pretty.
And just keep the tip in, about a half an inch, so you don't go too deep with it. So we've got that pretty much distributed there, and you've got a nice marbling pattern there. And then we're going to add a little bit more batter to fill the cheesecake up. And I'm going to use this. This is a tip I learned. So I'm going to layer it over the spoon, which allows me to cover up that chocolate layer so that I can get a nice white, clean canvas to paint on.
It just sort of reduces the weight of the pour, really,
Yes.
right? So it doesn't break through
And
the other
distributes
layer.
it evenly.
Really nice, really nice.
And a little bit here, fill in. And then the last step to beautify your cheesecake is, just put that over here.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to make a fleur-de-lis on this particular one. There's lots of designs that you can make. For Halloween, on some of our caramel cheesecakes, we like to make a spider web design.
Yeah.
Kids love that. But I'm going to make just sort of a spiral here and stop it. And you have to work quick because the ganache has to be warm enough to be liquid, but you don't want it to set. And then I'm just going to pull it in a few times,
Pretty.
just like that. For the first step, we go in. The second step, just the tip, we pull it out.
Oh,
And now we're starting to see
Beautiful.
that beautiful fleur-de-lis come to life.
beautiful. That's gorgeous.
And
I
that's
love
as simple
it.
as that.
Simple. I love it.
And so that's one of the great ways you can do it. This is nice because you can bake your design into the cheesecake. Or if you don't, if you have a store-bought cheesecake or you make a cheesecake at home and you don't do a design like this, the ganache is also great to just sauce. And you can do just a simple lattice. Just go back and forth like this a couple of times, stop there. I like to do maybe 3 sets. So we go at an angle
Pretty.
and just hold the squeeze tube upside down and keep it even. And then we'll do one more. Let's see. This way.
So pretty.
And it ends up tasting really good, but it also makes a nice presentation with those lines dripping down the cheesecake.
Really pretty.
And then chocolate's my favorite. My almost the same favorite is caramel. And we love to introduce our caramel sauce. So on our classic, we typically will do just a really nice layer of a lattice on the caramel. And look, in about a minute, you can have a beautifully decorated cheesecake with a caramel sauce, with our ganache, and all of
The
this
nice
you can
thing
do at
is
home.
you can buy a nice caramel sauce too
You can.
and use those decorating tips, which I love. So I have to try one of these. Yum. I
And
could
so
just-
that has ganache already in it, in the layer, and all right, if you're having one.
The
at home.
crust is also delicious. I'm a
Crust
super
is
crust
key.
fan. Crust is key. You know, another thing I asked Rusty, because I love to make cheesecake, and 2 things you told me that I wanted to share with the audience because I think they're great tips, One, as you said, cheesecake is just about patience. And that's really important. I think baking is about patience.
It is. You cannot, every time I've tried to cheat
Don't
time,
rush it. Don't cheat time.
I've gotten burned.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
And the other thing is a lot of recipes call for a water bath. And your suggestion is just get the moisture in the oven. You don't necessarily have to put the cheesecake immersed in a water bath, which you take the risk of getting the cheesecake wet.
Right.
But just put a bowl of water underneath.
Take a Pyrex or a baking sheet that has a high edge and fill it halfway up with water and put it on the bottom rack in your oven, and put that in before you put your cheesecake in. Cheesecake is more like a custard, and it needs moisture in the oven or it'll dry out and it'll crack.
This is fabulous. I'm going to try one of everything.
This is a gluten-free cheesecake.
Oh man, it's delicious. You can get Rusty's Cheesecakes in the Northwest, in Seattle, or ship to them wherever you live, and you can get details on how to do that and where to find the information on our website, on thebrownlounge.com, on the recipe page for this beautiful ganache. So Rusty, thank you so much. I'm going to keep eating.
Absolutely.
I need my coffee to come pretty soon here.
You're getting a little bit of it there.
I know, it's so delicious. Loved having you. See you next time in the Brown Lounge, and enjoy Rusty's Cheesecakes. You're going to love them.
Eat more cheesecake.